Okay. Of course, we want to have a little few technical glitches as we kick this off. Remove Twitter because Twitter doesn't want to play. X does not want to play live and friendly with our live stream we're doing this evening. And so we're just going to remove that as we get started here, everyone. Okay, I believe we should be going live everywhere now. Yep, here we go. We're going live. Thank you. All the notifications are popping up on social media. This is exciting. We're finally getting a chance to go live and share with you about the revolution in leadership development that is here now. Very excited to be able to present all of everything we're going to do here tonight to all of you. This is something we've been working on over the last 12, 24 months. We've been working with our clients in our Leadership Evolution Action Plan, fine-tuning, tweaking, and improving the way that we evolve leadership in organizations. And we are now offering it actually as a public offering where it's normally been reserved for our clients only. We've decided to now take it to the open market and share with everybody actually how to evolve your leaders in your organization. I guess it all started from a frustration that I've seen over the years as someone who's a leadership practitioner for 30, 35 years. I've been in roles of leadership myself. I'm not a theorist. I'm not an academic. I'm a practitioner. I've led organizations for about 35 years through challenging times in multiple industries across multiple continents, actually. And I was asked actually this evening, like, how did you build what you built today? And the answer was simple. You know, I watched my dad go through work and the way that he was treated after working in organizations, working 60, 70 hours a week or more, and then seeing myself fall into the same trap and got tired of being treated as a resource to an organization. And the way that we treat people in the workplace was really frustrating. And then so I decided to, I don't know, either subliminally or by design at some stage, look at what were some of the amazing leaders that I worked with. What was it about them that I loved? What was it that made me feel great or special or appreciated or valued? And the things that they did. And then I thought, what if I could build a system or a systematic approach to be able to help organizations do that all the time and create organizations that people would want to line up to be a part of? So we've created what we have here at Circle Leadership, which is a world-class system, which is a culture, leadership, and strategy alignment system for organizations. As part of that process, it was how do we actually, develop, world-class leadership? And I've looked at all the leadership training and development and everything that I've been on throughout the years. And I guess what frustrated me is I've seen a lot of organizations spend a lot of money on leadership training and development, but not really ever seen any significant shift in the leadership in those organizations. And, if anything, most organizations these days are mapping out their leadership training and development every year to make sure that they can get certificates for their people or credits for whatever it is that they need in their industry. But there's been no real transformation in leadership itself. So I thought, well, what if we could actually help people not just know more about leadership, but become more of the leader that they're capable of? So as part of our process over the last couple of years working with our clients is how do we actually evolve leadership in organizations? How do we create more all-around leadership, not top-down leadership? We're not looking at how do we create more layers of leadership, but how do we create more all-around leadership depth and strength? How do we go deeper into the concept of leadership? And I guess in the past few years, especially with AI being out in the world now, AI is taking care of a lot of the stuff that we used to do as humans. So we're no longer human doings. We actually get a chance now to finally be human beings. So now we can actually go, well, hey, we can deploy our creativity, our curiosity, our imagination, our intuition, our empathy into the workplace. We can be freed up to do the work that humans must do. But that's going to require leadership because we have an existential crisis right now around the world in terms of leadership. Because our identity was attached to what we do, not who we are. And so there's all this sort of melting pot of things happening right now. And most of what we call leadership is just modern management practices. There's very little amount of people leadership. So all this stuff was happening. I thought this is a perfect time to create a revolution in leadership development. and to introduce to the world our Leadership Evolution Action Plan and how we work with our clients to not only evolve their businesses, but to evolve that leadership. How do we help them build all around leadership? How do we help them create depth and strength in their organization around leadership? So tonight on this live stream, I'm going to share with you everything that we do and how we do it. So hopefully that you can either choose to find a new way to do it for yourself, to stop wasting time and energy and money on leadership training and development that does not produce results. Please understand that even today we're spending billions with a capital B on leadership training and development, on courses, programs, certificates, university degrees, books, you name it, to make leadership better. Yet the disengagement rate in organizations remains at least 70% or more. So we're spending more and the results are not getting better. That is not an investment that most people would make. Yet for some reason, we still do it when it comes to leadership training. So tonight, we're going to share with you a different way to think about it. So let's dive in. Oops, let's do this one. Okay, so let's start off this whole conversation with the fact that what if we have gotten leadership development backwards? What if we've been asking the wrong question? What if the answer isn't about knowing more, but it's about becoming more? So tonight, what I want to do is take you on a journey of evolution to understand leadership, traditional thinking, modern thinking, and then how we apply that in the world today, and what we're offering to the world in terms of how we can actually cultivate leadership depth and strength and all around leadership in your organization. So let's start with where we are. The first thing I want to talk about is actually traditional thinking in leadership. So unfortunately, the 1 day, 3 day, 5 day courses, programs, etc., that organizations tend to invest in, the traditional thinking around those is that we have this smorgasbord or buffet of 100% of all this information about modern management practices with a little bit of human leadership and people leadership in it. But by the problem with the actual, forgetting the content for a moment, just even the structure of it. In a 5 day course, by day 5, participants have likely forgotten most of what happened in day 1. The information overload leads to poor retention in totality. There's limited time to actually practice or contextualize that information immediately into the workplace. Then after 31 days, people are likely to remember only 21% of the content. There's no structured reinforcement after the course or programs happened. And learning happens in isolation away from real workplace challenges. On top of that, we have to think about, there's a thing called the forgetting curve, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But within 20 minutes, people typically retain about 58% of the information. After 1 hour, 44%, and then after 1 day, about 33%, and after 6 days, 25% is retained, and after 31 days, only 21% of the original information remains in memory. Now, if you can imagine on a 5 day or a 3 day or even a 1 day course, the amount of information that you're consuming, right, let alone being able to process, let alone apply or even retain, is diminishing rapidly. So there was a study done by Hermann Ebbinghaus back in 1850 to 1909, and it still holds true today, called the forgetting curve, which explains those statistics which I just shared with you. Okay, so this isn't me just making up numbers. This is actually how the human mind works. The forgetting curve is a real thing. Yet we send people on these 1 day, 3 day, 5 day courses and programs to get a certificate or a credit or whatever it is. They come back to the workplace, face the realities of the workplace with all this information that they've gathered and gained and knowledge that they've acquired. Then they're back into the realities of the workplace and not much is able to be changed because they can't remember it all. And they're back to the realities of the workplace and everything's thrown at them and then ends up in a binder gathering dust on their desk and nothing's happened. The only thing that's changed is your budget. As the CEO, business owner, whatever the organization, the only thing that has changed is your budget. And the other thing we have to understand, even in the world today now, post-pandemic and AI and generational changes, is this one simple thing, that today's workforce is built for tomorrow's workplace. The problem is tomorrow's workplace isn't here. We can't keep leading organizations the way we led them in a world that's changed dramatically. We can't keep training leaders the way that we've trained them because that training wasn't working in the first place or hasn't been serving us in the first place. And now we have a whole new workplace because AI and since the pandemic, when you think about what work is, what we even think work is, where we work, how we work, how often we work, everything has changed. Yet for some reason, we're still investing in the same darn things. So let's talk about modern thinking. Please understand that modern thinking suggests that effective learning often requires at least 3 to 7 repetitions. Okay, but here's the thing. They have to be spaced out over time rather than crammed. They have to be active rather than passive, and in different contexts or formats. They can't be just in the same format all the time. So if you think about traditional thinking, the way the world is, and modern thinking, this is why we suggest that it's time to lead different. We can't keep leading our organizations the same way. Therefore, we can't keep developing or training leaders the same way that we have. That hasn't even served us in the first place. The other thing that we need to understand is we need a new definition for leadership. Because as I've already alluded to, most of what we call leadership in the world today is just modern management practices. Now, please understand that AI will take care of most of the management of the things that we would call management today. I need to understand a simple fundamental principle. When I wrote Simplified here, the whole premise of that book is that leadership is simple. You lead people. You lead people and you manage resources. And please understand that people are not a resource. We should have resources for our humans, not humans as a resource. So if we're training everyone on modern management theories and very limited amount of actually people leadership, we're living in a world now where AI and everything like that will take away a lot of the doing and all the management, all the science of business. What's left is the human element. Yet we're not training people on the human element, or barely, and the methodology in which we use to train people isn't effective because it's not retaining it. It's just, trying to put more knowledge into people, but it's not actually helping create any transformation. You can see why it's time to lead different, and B, we need a new definition of leadership. So when I wrote Simplified, shameless plug, it took me many years, having done leadership development and leadership as a practitioner for 30 odd years, that people said, Dave, where's your book on leadership? You talk about all this stuff on leadership. I didn't want to be just another Me Too on the concept of leadership. Until I understood my voice, my message, and what I believed that leadership was all about, I didn't want to publish a book about it. But when I did write Simplified, I was very clear on what leadership meant to me. And that is fundamentally this, that leadership's all about helping other people become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. So when you think about this definition of leadership, about helping others become their best to do their best while in your care and beyond, as you look at that definition, where does it say that you need a position or title to demonstrate leadership? Hopefully, as you can see, it doesn't. Because when we talk about this again in organizations, how do we create more all-around leadership, not top-down leadership? Right? Because we want to create organizations where everybody can lift everybody up, not organizations where we have ceilings or people pushing down on people. I'm the boss, you report to me. The second part of this definition of leadership is while in your care and beyond. What does that tell you about leadership as a concept? Hopefully what you're seeing in that is that it says that I care about you as a human being first and an employee second. So when you're thinking about leadership and a new definition for leadership, firstly, we want to develop leadership depth and strength, which is going deeper into leadership, not creating more layers of leadership, and that we want to make sure that we're looking at people as human beings first, employees second, which is why I talk about having resources for humans, not humans as a resource. The other point I want to make here, and this is the most critical one when you think about all this in context. As a business owner, CEO, leader of an organization, when you think about your business and you think about the competitors out there in the arena, and you look at them and they can copy your bricks and mortar, they can copy your website, they can copy your policies, procedures, your products, your services, your tech stack, you name it. They can copy virtually every single thing about your business. But what's the one thing that they can't copy? And that is your ability to capture the spirit of your people. It's your culture, obviously. It's your people. That is the one true sustainable competitive advantage that you have over your competition. So if you don't have an organizational leadership structure that can actually capture the spirit of people, that's so bogged down in modern management theories and practices that actually isn't really transforming any sense of leadership. They're learning more techniques on how to get more value out of that resource rather than actually how do we value the people that we have. Your organization is going to suffer if you can't capture the spirit of your people. Therefore, you need to have leadership in your organization that can do so. That means your leadership development has to be focused on that one thing. How do we actually lead people? But here's the other thing about your business that you need to understand. Businesses do not run out of money. I assure you that businesses do not run out of money. What they do run out of is ideas and innovation. And ideas and innovation come from people, not budgets, nor AI. So it's a finding game, not a funding game. How do we find the right people to bring into our organization, help them bring their best self to work, become more of what they're capable of, so they can do their life's best work while they're in our care and beyond? This is how organizations make money, by capturing the spirit of their people, harnessing that talent that we have, retaining that talent, building the world-class leadership around that talent, and then letting them loose on the world. So we can't keep developing leaders the way we have. We can't keep talking about leadership the way we have. It's time to lead different, and we need a revolution in leadership development. And so I'd like to introduce to you the Leadership Evolution Action Plan. What we've been working on with our clients over many, many years, but over the last 2 years, we've been honing it, fine-tuning it, and tweaking it to build a process that would actually evolve leaders. It's not about knowing more, it's about becoming more of the leader that you're capable of. And we're going to be kicking off in 2026. We're taking registrations right now for the 2026 cohort. In our Leadership Evolution Action Plan, we're only allowing 20 to 30 max to keep it an intimate group where we can learn to evolve together. So some of the key elements of the Leadership Evolution Action Plan, and we'll go deeper into it in a moment, please understand this. The reason this works where traditional training fails is everything we've done is designed on bite-sized learning that sticks. It has real-world application, immediately applicable, not theory. There's pure accountability because I assure you, checklists don't lead, people do. Okay? And we have our proprietary content times context equals concept formula. We also make sure there's monthly coaching in the flow of work, not away from it. Everyone in the Leadership Evolution Action Plan gets full access to the Circle Leadership Toolbox. And the requirement is only about 4 hours per month of focused commitment. So can you imagine that? So one of the core principles that we work with our clients and that we've embedded into the Leadership Evolution Action Plan is this: less is more, more often. We want you to learn less and do that more, and then repeat that more often. Okay? Less is more, more often. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in context in a moment. The other part of our process, as we've already alluded to, is our formula of content times context equals concept. So please understand, we teach content, we coach the context, so it's our content times your context with actions to embed the concept. And that happens in every session and every aspect of leadership that we work on. We take one, less is more, more often. We help you to understand the content, then we help you put it into your context, and then help you develop your action plan to embed the concept. Then we take another piece of content and repeat that cycle. Now, here's where the less is more often is really, really embedded. If you're familiar with the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, 20% of the things we do produce 80% of the results. Everything that we've set up in our Leadership Evolution Action Plan is built on this as well. We've taken the 20%, the most important parts of any aspect or lesson in leadership, and we've gathered that 20% only, right? Because we know that 20% is going to produce 80% of the results as a leader. So when you go to your traditional 1-day, 3-day, 5-day courses, they're giving you 100% of the information. Okay? Can you imagine that we can barely consume it, we can barely process it, let alone retain any of it? But if we took one piece of it and just took the 20%, that would produce the 80% for you in your workplace immediately. And then instead of the remaining 80% of the time that's only going to give you the 20%, you took that 80% of the time and put it back into that first 20% that produces the results. That's where you're going to get your greatest evolution and growth as a leader. So this is why we only focus on the 20% that produces the 80%. Then looking at the content, context, and concept process, so you'll individually learn the content. You'll be taught through our process, which is a series of videos, very short, powerful videos, insightful with worksheets and templates to be able to work through to internalize the information yourself. Then you go into a group coaching context to contextualize that, where you're educated and you're working with your peers to look at what does that look like in your workplace, what does that mean to you right there with your team and your organization, but you're also sharing that and learning and the collective wisdom of other people going through the same process as you. And then you develop an action plan on how you're going to embed that over the following weeks. And then you take another piece, and then you take another piece, and the cycle repeats over a period of 12 months. So let's go a little bit deeper. What does that look like when we dive a bit deeper into that? What it looks like is this. So as an individual, you will, for the first 2 weeks, you'll have a piece of content that you will consume at least 4 to 6 times, right? 8 to 10 minute, maybe 12 max video of a session or a particular aspect of leadership that you're working through, explaining it to you with worksheets, templates, and everything like that for you to follow along. You do that for about, so if you imagine four times, even if it was 15 minutes, all right, that's an hour each week. So there's 2 hours over the 2-week period. Then you join a 2-hour coaching session, group coaching session with everybody else who's participating. And then you break into small groups and you're learning from each other and contextualizing how you've applied that, what you could do, and learning from each other, and then sharing that wisdom about what that means in each other's workplaces. Then you take that and then you start to develop your action plan that you're going to spend the next 2 weeks implementing that lesson. And then as you look at the picture on the right here, you go, okay, so this is who I am today, and this is who I want to become as a leader. I take one bite-sized piece and I go through this process, and then I start to embed that. The next month, we take the next piece. And not only in continuing to embed the first piece, then we embed the second piece, and then the third piece, and then the fourth piece. And then over a period of 12 months, you've taken 12 aspects of leadership and you've embodied those and embedded them into your organization, and you've become the leader that you're capable of. You just don't know more about leadership. You've become the leader that you're capable of. All right. You don't just have a certificate up on the wall going, look at me, I'm a leader. All right. You actually transform into the leader that you're capable of. And then the cycle starts again. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the leadership evolution action plan and go into the real nitty gritty parts of it here. Because I know a lot of you watching this would go, yeah, okay, give me the details. What does it actually look like? What are the lessons and various other things? Please understand the first part of the leadership evolution action plan is looking at that leadership depth and strength. As I've already shared with you, it's not about, creating more layers of leadership. It's how do we go deeper into the concept of leadership itself. So the first thing I want to talk about is the 3 levels of leadership that we work through. The first one is leadership of self. Okay, you can't lead anybody else until you know how to lead yourself. And self-awareness is the key to self-leadership. So we always start with leadership of self first. Then once you've learned how to lead yourself, you can take that and go, how can I help others now become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while they're in my care and beyond? Then you learn how to become a leader of teams, and we take you through all the sessions in that. Every month, one different aspect of leading teams, right? And then the last part of the process then is, now I know how to lead myself. I've actually helped our teams to become their best, to do their best. I can start to really understand how I can lead the business now. So leadership, leader, lead. Leadership of self, leader of teams, lead the business. We take you through those 3 layers of leadership development, all using the content times context equals concept, the less is more often, the 80-20 principle through each of those things, right? And then when we look at what's actually in the plan, not only is there the lessons that we take people through, okay? So if you look at from leadership of self, we're talking about human behavior, your comfort zones, how your mind works, and how you start to evolve and pick the kind of leader that you want to be and how you want to evolve as a leader and a human being. Then you go into leading teams, where you'll talk more about leading performance. You're looking at how to become a coach, not a boss. A whole bunch of things in terms of your leadership style, communication styles within your teams. So you'll be going through all this, how to lead with values, how to look at people who are willing and able, and how to help people to train them, evolve them, everything that you need to do to help those teams become their best, to do their best. And then moving up into leading the business, or be a leader of the business, which is looking at how do you start getting people to come along on a journey with you, understanding organizational behavior, how to drive economic value in your business. And in each layer of leadership depth and strength that we go in, there's a bunch of also tools in our Circle Leadership Toolbox that will support you on that journey. So not only the lessons and the sessions that we've outlined, there's also additional tools templates, resources, you name it, to help you to use and take back to your workplace. So when you think about the lessons in the Circle Leadership Toolbox as part of the Leadership Evolution Action Plan, fundamentally what we have is a series of videos and say all the tools and templates that you would need to evolve yourself. And here's kind of what one would look like. So in our Circle platform, in our community, you have access to a video. So here it is here. This is how your mind works. One of the first sessions we look at in our Leadership Evolution Action Plan of Leadership of Self is understanding that our minds are goal-setting, problem-solving devices, and how to use those to help us to tap into the creativity and innovation and ideas that we have in our own self to solve problems. And this would be one of the lessons. Now, each of those lessons, if you dive deeper, there's a video lesson, there's a session description about it, there's diagrams, models, or templates that you would use, and there's space to leave a comments or ask questions. Because in the community, our team of highly trained facilitators and coaches will be able to support you throughout the whole process. You don't have to wait for the coaching and all that to happen. You can be asking questions even as you're watching the videos and learning from them. Your community, your fellow group of peers can jump in and give feedback and insights, and you can be sharing all that. So every session is set up like this. So we want to develop that leadership depth and strength in our business, all right? So the important part here is if you look at a lesson. So there's a session of me explaining, this one is once again how your mind works, and then I'll be whiteboarding something. And so an example there would be on your screen, the whiteboarding me taking you through how your mind works. And then there'd be blank templates and everything for you to use to follow along. And then once again, it's an 8 to 10 minute video that you'd be watching repetitively 4 to 6 times over that period, at least 4 times over the period of the 2 weeks to really start to absorb the content. Then you would go into the group coaching session, and then you would talk to other people in your teams and your groups that you're working with to contextualize that and share and learn from each other. Then you would walk out, and every lesson has a tactical plan template and suggested recommendations of how you could apply that lesson. Then you can take that and choose which parts that you want to do and what's relevant to you in your organization to put into play. Then you have full access to the Circle Leadership Toolbox. Every tool that you might want to achieve success in your organization to help you become who you need to and help your teams become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while in your care and beyond as well. All right, and so there's all the resources that are in there. As you can see, there's tools, templates, models, videos, you name it. Whatever that you would need to help you with that is available to you in there. So last bit of things I want to share with you about the Leadership Evolution Action Plan and the revolution of leadership that is here now and available to you is some of the core concepts that we're bringing to organizations today. Because if these don't resonate with you, please don't register to attend our Leadership Evolution Action Plan. This is not for you unless you think about people as human beings first, employees second. If you believe that we should have resources for humans, not humans as a resource, this is for you. If you believe that everyone needs to have a personal connection to purpose where that we can create meaningful work for people, this is for you. If you believe that we should be more focused on what people punch out rather than when they punch in and out, this is for you. If you believe that we should be delegating outcomes to people, not tasks to people, then this is for you. If you believe that we should be getting people involved in the work, involved in decisions about the work, this is for you. If you want to find a way to create performance leadership in your organization, not performance management in your organization, this is definitely for you. And if you want to find a way to get your team to rally around your culture and speak that one love to the market and build a culture and brand relationship so everybody falls in love with why you guys do what you do in your business, this is definitely for you. Right? If these things don't resonate with you, please do not register for this Leadership Evolution Action Plan. It won't be for you. The last part I want to share with you is if you're ready to start, all you have to do is either here, put hashtag LEAP in the comments at the bottom of this, wherever you're watching this, and we'll set up a call. You don't need to sign up right now. There's no worry about any of that. All you have to do is decide whether you think the Leadership Evolution Action Plan that you'd like to start investing in leadership that actually evolves people, doesn't give them more knowledge, doesn't just give them more knowledge, but helps them become the leader that they're capable of. If you want to achieve more with less and have your people to be able to take things and put it immediately into the workplace, then this is something you might be interested in. I highly recommend that you just drop a hashtag LEAP in the comments, and one of our team will get in touch with you and we'll talk about what it might look for your organization. please understand that we are only opening this up to a maximum of 30 people for this first cohort in 2026. If you would like to, thanks, Andrew. Appreciate your comments, mate. If you would like to participate in this and you think this might be something, let's just talk about it. Let's have a discussion. All right. We're just tired of seeing organizations waste money on leadership training and development that is not producing the results. Therefore, we're not cultivating the leadership that we want and or need in our organizations to take care of the humans that we have. We can't keep leading the business the way we are. We can't keep training leaders the way we have. It's time for revolution, and that revolution is here now. And it's proven through our clients that we have. So please, welcome to the revolution. As Trailblazers of Revolutionary Leadership at Circle Leadership, we welcome you to talk about how Leadership Evolution Action Plan may work for you in your organization. Other than that, thank you so much for everyone whose time and attention. And Andrew, for your comments, thank you, appreciate you. And really look forward to seeing who we can help in 2026. Because I assure you, in 2026, I'll leave you with this hopefully sobering thought. In 2026 is the year that you must lead at best, respond at worst, but not react. If you're still reacting to whatever's happening in the world around you in 2026, your business will be left behind, right? We have an existential crisis in leadership. We need to lead people, and we need a new way to do that. Thanks very much for everyone who's watching.